In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, Christ is risen from the dead, by death trampling death, and on those in the tombs bestowing life. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather as your people, your servants, so that we may work together to build your church by teaching what you taught us to the children and adults and all of our parishes to grow your church. We ask this in the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit. Amen. Again, so thank you for being here. Father Jim, would this be a good time for you to say a few words? And
Father Tony, thank you. Thank you for organizing us, and thank you all for joining us, taking time out of your day. I know there's a little bit of Zoom webinar overload and a lot of information coming at you, but this is really critical, I think, because we are facing a summer where it looks like most of the camps are going to be, won't be in person, they may be virtual. So, and all the rest of our programs. So it's really important that we refocus our efforts, get as creative as possible, and we may come up with some programs that I think that will, or some methods that will serve us beyond the current crisis. And I think that's always the goal, is to find new ways of doing things for a new reality that lies ahead of us. So thank you, Father Tony, for organizing this, and the presenters who are here with us. I look forward to participating and coming back in later on.
yeah, thank you. Thank you, Father Jim. And as for those of you who don't know Father Jim is the Corderis is the director of the Department of Stewardship, Outreach, and Evangelism of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. So his office does seminars like this a lot more regularly on various aspects of stewardship, outreach, and evangelism, assisted by Stacy Stathoulis.
Right there, Stacy.
He's not in the same spot on my
Is that? Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's somebody else.
Okay, sorry.
So yeah, but so yeah, so I think it's really, really good, because I think I at least think that good religious education is a strength of outreach and evangelism work in particular. It's a reason for people to connect with our parishes and stay connected. Well, as Father Jim alluded, we're doing this at an interesting time. So many things have gone virtual and are going to stay virtual. We're not sure for how long, but at least we know for the summer. And what we want to focus on today is there are two pieces here to address, and we hope we're going to have two presentations, and then we'll have some conversation on one, how do we begin to end the program year when so many of our programs would end with a kind of quote unquote graduation type ceremony, promotions of students, honoring teachers, work like that in our parishes. How do we take that step into this virtual world of not being able to gather in person? And so Angeliki Constantine, the educational ministry specialist from the Department of Religious Education, is going to share some thoughts on that. And I'll introduce her a little bit in a second. And because we're already starting to see things happening. If you're part of the Religious Ed Facebook group, just today alone, I posted some things. And then the other piece is, how might we work in a virtual VCS, as we're calling it in our office? How might we hit this summer program that most of our parishes have, but to work in a virtual world? And I'm really excited to finally meet in person, or by Zoom persons, the presenters there from Orthodox Pebbles. We've been friends for 4 or 5 years since you got started, with ideas and talk and emailing, lots of things. And I think there's some of the most creative ideas we're seeing. And so Natalia, Tzobanaki, Theo Charopoulou, and Despina Lachanaris are here. And they're going to present on some of their ideas. Both of our presentations tonight have PowerPoint, so we'll let them share their screens and things like that to share with you. but so just so you know how it's going to work, I'm going to ask Angeliki Constantine to make her presentation, and it's going to be relatively short. And then just one or two questions immediately following. And you can also put them in the chat. That's the easiest way for us to moderate them. And you can see to everyone or to an individual, that's either way. And then we'll go from there. And then Natalie and Despina will present on the work that they're doing. And then we'll have some questions. And then we'll just open it up and see what kind of ideas we have that we can share and learn from one another. And then we'll call it an evening. The goal is to be done on Eastern time at about 7:35, 7:40 at the latest, to be respectful of your time and dinner plans and keeping an eye on kids and things like that. And after an hour, nobody wants to be on Zoom much longer. So again, thank you for joining us. Our first presentation is going to, as I said, is going to be how to begin ending the school year, the program year, the school year. And Angeliki Constantine is going to present to us on this. Angeliki is the educational ministry specialist from the Department of Religious Education. She has an undergraduate degree in elementary and education from Hellenic College, where she graduated in 2009. And she's got her MDiv from Holy Cross, which she got in 2012. Very, very sneakily, she was an intern in our office, which meant we had to hire her when she got her MDiv shortly there. And she's been working with us in the department ever since she graduated, and like I said, a little bit before, working to create Sunday school materials, and she's especially involved with the Oratorical Festival. Angeliki's got a lot of experience at a practical parish level. She's a youth minister, religious educator here in the Boston area, where they have some of the best youth ministry work going on in the city here. And so I'm just going to turn it over to her and let her take us on a way of what are some ideas that you might think of doing for a ending of the program year.
All right, thank you, Father Tony. Hello, everyone. So excited to see all your faces and just to share some ideas and thoughts and kind of do some collaboration tonight. I'm going to start off by sharing my screen. And all right, can we see that? We got that?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get started. So as we all know, the year is coming to the end. So it's time to start thinking about how we're going to finish this year. I know a lot of us thought that we wouldn't be having to think about this and we kind of could just do what we normally had planned, but unfortunately, the way things have progressed, we have to kind of think a little bit outside the box this year. So we go. So the end of the school year, like I said, is here. So a lot of us are kind of at a point where we also have like limited resources, limited budget, especially because the parishes aren't having the revenue that they originally had been planning on having. So the money that we might have been thinking we were going to have for a big picnic is not there. So we're trying to think of ways that we're going to have that are inexpensive and you can still honor the students and kind of end the year nicely in a special way for the kids at the parish. Some ideas that we have for elementary and middle school are things you can do really easily. A lot of parishes are live streaming right now. A lot of them are having very active on social media. So there's lots of things you can do to kind of help get things out there, get the work, get these kids' faces, honor them out there for the whole parish to see. Especially the elementary, middle school. So they're not graduating, so we kind of forget about them, but they're still super important. They finish the year. They are going to be in a new grade next year. They're certainly might be in a new ministry next year. So it's important to still honor them. So a couple of ideas we have is at the end of the liturgy that your parish is live streaming, have the priest honor them, say their names as with their grade level as you normally would have on a Sunday in your parish where you present like a certificate. You can even have a certificate presented on the screen and then mail it to their homes as well.
They do a presentation and all the people watching, asking questions.
I know that some teachers that I already know of are writing handwritten personal cards for each of their students. So this is actually really sweet. And the kind of a nice thing just to kind of say, hope you have a great summer. We can't wait to have you back in our ministries next year. Kind of just a really sweet and inexpensive way to just kind of honor the students. Sending care packages. I know a lot of churches are doing this, and this is a little more on the pricier side, but you can still find some good inexpensive items to throw in there, and you can either deliver them or have a pickup day at your parish, or even just mail them out. So and then lastly, you can mail gifts and Sunday school certificates to each of your students as well. High school in Goya. So a lot of super parishes are doing really cool care packages for their parishes. Some are doing little like bags of sunshine that they're delivering or sending out to their Goyans, which has like all like just things for the summer to kind of help the kids get through this time. So not necessarily all religious items, but just things to kind of help cheer them up, because everyone's not really having the summer they had planned on having. Keeping in touch virtually by having Zoom calls. I know some parishes are doing Goya over Zoom, and like high school Sunday school over Zoom. So you could continue that through the summer to kind of keep the connection, especially because a lot of kids are not going to be going to camp this year, and so that was like such a beacon in their summer. You can still try to keep them connected to the parish this way as well. You can do some virtual game nights with the Goya or with the high school kids, kind of keep them connected. Or it's not just, religious, but just having fun, kind of keeping that Orthodox friendships alive. And another thing you can do is start a virtual countdown for the start of Sunday school and for the start of Goya. Just kind of keep it going, put it on your Facebook page, or send, if you have like a system that you use to contact all your students, like send it out, once a week. Here's the countdown for for the next semester. Kind of get everyone a little bit excited for the new year. So graduates. So this is there'll be a lot of ideas for this one. So the graduates, there's lots of things you can do for them. A lot of them are. A lot of you have probably already seen on the news, or even like in your neighborhood, that there's like yard signs, or you've seen people doing parades for birthdays and stuff. So these are things you can actually transfer to your parishes. You can create parish yard signs for your graduates. You can have little parking lot parties for your grads, like, having everyone sit like in a lawn chair 6 feet apart, and then having people come through from the parish and in their cars and just cheer for them, honor them. Another thing you can do is have grads wear caps and gowns and participate in a virtual Sunday school over Zoom, and invite the whole parish to that as well. You can do an adopt a grad program, where you can have the godparents or parishioners sign up to kind of support this student, for a while. Send them care packages, send them cards, send them postcards, or anything to kind of keep them connected and involve them in the parish a little more. You can deliver care packages with gifts for the grads. I know some parishes will give, every year will give like a Bible or a Holy Week book, or a prayer book for the graduates to take with them to college. So this is a cool thing. You can still do this, deliver it, have it shipped to their home, or have a pickup day at the parish to get these out to the graduates. Another thing you can do is create like a video montage. And I know it used to be really popular back in the day to do slideshows, and it kind of went out, but like, I think it's a great time to bring them back in, have a slideshow, play it on this church's social media, email it out. You can even play it at the end of like a live stream service if you wanted to, kind of just like showing like the graduates throughout the year. Either it can be from their lives or just, from parish events. There's also a function on parish Facebook pages where you can do viewing parties. So you could have it set up where people are invited to a viewing party, and then it starts and everyone watches it at the same time. So it's kind of a cool way to utilize that as well. And then you can also just take the time to, create bios and have a social media post highlighting each graduate. So like a photo and a bio, and kind of just it could be through Instagram, through Facebook, and just really honor them for, their graduation. And I know some metropolises are doing that as well on a metropolis level. So you can do this in parish levels, metropolis levels, anything really. I just want to show a couple of examples of some parishes who are really rocking it and doing some cool things. So St. John the Divine Orthodox Church in Jacksonville, Florida, they made really awesome yard signs, and they delivered them to each of their graduates with like a parade of the church leaders. And it was so cool. They put a video up. It was really cool. Everyone's cheering. They decorated their cars. And then they came to each graduate's house and delivered the sign to put in the yard, which was like such a cool idea. Holy Trinity in Charlotte, North Carolina did a similar thing where they also did it. And it was kind of cool. They even were able to personalize each sign with the name on it and really honor these kids. And these signs, I looked them up. You can find them on Etsy pretty inexpensively. You can find them just other online venues as well. So it's a really, really cool way to do it. Another parish that did such a cool thing was Resurrection Church in Castro Valley, California. So they actually had their young adult ministry group, and they hosted a graduation ceremony for all of the Goya graduates. And it was really cool. They mailed them caps, gowns. You can see in this one picture here, all the little things that came in the package. A diploma, which was signed by their priest. They had little tickets for the families to like attend virtually the graduation, and they had a whole graduation ceremony, and they had speeches, and they gave a spotlight, like 10 seconds or something to each kid to kind of honor them. And because these kids, not only did they not have a church graduation, but they didn't have a school graduation. So this kind of counted as that, which is like so cool. And I thought it was such a great way to really involve like another ministry too. Another thing that we cannot forget is our teachers and ministry volunteers. So we've talked a lot about the importance of honoring the graduates and all of the students, but one thing we have to remember are our volunteers as well. A lot of them, or some of them, continued teaching Sunday school over Zoom. Some of them were sending emails out to their kids and with discussion questions. And so a lot of these teachers went above and beyond, and especially the church volunteers went above and beyond to really kind of jumpstart and make these ministries virtual and kind of keep them going. So really important to support these people and show them how much you appreciate them as well. So definitely getting them a little gift, a gift card to a local coffee shop so you can kind of support the locals as well, especially during this time. Handwritten personalized thank you letters are really important. And then you can even, just like we had said for like Sunday school kids, you can also have the priest announce the names of the volunteers on the parish live stream and kind of honor them there as well. I wanted to speak a little bit about orthodoxmarketplace.com. So this is the online store for the Archdiocese, the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. And on this, you can find lots of ideas for gifts. You can find church school certificates, different things. So we have like a listserv that you can sign up for and get the emails of when we're having promotions and stuff, but just want to highlight a little bit about this. So right now we have a gifts under $5 section. So just some things that can kind of help you find some little things to either to mail or give out to your Sunday school kids as little gifts, as well as to your teachers and volunteers. And then not just at the end of the year, but throughout the whole year, we have tons of resources and curriculum and anything you need to get your Sunday school program and ministry started. And lastly, now the ball's in your court. So there's so many resources, so many things you can do, but it's really important to remember that a lot of this might take a little bit of time. So especially if you're trying to save money, you're going to have to put in a little bit more time into this, which I know no one has an abundance of, but just make a little time to really honor your parish, honor your kids. So start off by just assessing your parish's capabilities and limitations. I know everyone is at different parts right now in the country, and everyone's kind of having different guidelines. So definitely make sure you're following what your state is recommending as well as your metropolis. Most metropolises have laid out pretty detailed guidelines, so that can really help you figure out what you can do. Like, can you have a virtual picnic, or I mean, sorry, a social distancing picnic, or do you have to do everything virtually? So make sure you're following your state and your metropolis guidelines. Create a budget, come up with a plan, and then definitely come up with a backup plan, because with things, you don't know, even with things being shipped right now, you don't know if things are going to make it in time, if things are out of stock. So have a backup plan. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Meet with your priests and your other ministry leaders to collaborate. And like the parish in Castro Valley did, they involved a whole other ministry. So the young adults came in and helped honor the Goyen. So when you're collaborating, like bring in another ministry as well. Bring in Philoptogus to help. Bring in any other like outreach committees that you might have to help with it too. So lots you can do when you put everyone's heads together. And then just really make sure you're just honoring those kids. It's so important. And last of all, the DRE, the Department of Religious Education, we are here to help you. So I put in our phone number and our email addresses, as well as our website. So feel free to contact us if you have questions, if you need advice, or are looking for anything specific. We're all here to help you. So, and that's it for now. So thank you so much. I'm gonna turn off the screen.
All right. Well, yeah. Turn off your screen. And Angeliki, thanks so much. That was fantastic. Like I said, just in the interest of time, because we want to get to the other presentation. Any quick questions that would just take a minute or so for a response, or less? Just one question that did pop up in the chat about sharing the slides. Angeliki, I'm sure you'd be willing to share your slides. We can, get them out to people, or you can email us and we can send them out. We'll figure that out. But
definitely.
But yeah, any others? If there's anybody has a specific question, something they'd like clarified, one or two. We'll think we do one or two of those, and then we'll go right to the next presentation. No? Okay. Well, if you do have other questions for Angeliki, if something comes to mind, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll open it up later on. So our second presentation is going to be from Natalia Tzobanaki Theochoropoulou from Orthodox Pebbles. Is Despina going to help you with this as well? I'm sure she will, right?
Yeah, I will do the presentation, but then the questions.
The two of them, okay. Well, some of you may know Orthodox Pebbles, and it's been around for, about 5 years now, making lots of resources available for young people. Natalie is she does the printables and the video. She's involved with the website. She's got a lot of experience in art and design, which explains why it's so creative. She's been bringing that to teaching the faith. And her assistant, Despina Lachanaris, not even her assistant, her co-worker, that's a better word, is a devoted church school teacher, involved in volunteer work at her children's schools, and has been really, really helpful. And between the two of them, like you said, they've created orthodoxpebbles.com. And I highly recommend going to their website on a regular basis and sign up for their things. They're also, you to pay to see what they've created as the year goes by, because they always have something new. So I'm just going to turn it over to Natalie, and she also has some slides for us, and to share how we might work in a virtual world, especially around with the focus of the Vacation Church School program. So thank you, Natalie, for being with us this evening. And here you go.
Is it working? Yes, it's working.
Yes, working just fine.
Okay, so
just remind everybody to mute yourself. So when the dog barks.
Okay, so as you can see, I'm talking to you from my virtual Sunday school class over here. This is my backdrop that I use in class. So Christos Anesti, everybody first. And thank you, Father Tony, very much for inviting me tonight to talk, for inviting us to talk. I am very excited, I have to say, about this topic. It was a very intriguing topic to work on. So first of all, let me say a few things about me. I come from Greece. I've been in the US for 8 years now, about 8 years. I have a pretty diverse background, as Father said. So I did study in medical school for a while, but then I realized that career was not for me. So I've got a degree in graphic design and interactive media. I worked as a designer for a while. When I was back in Greece, I took iconography for years. I've been taking children's illustration classes. Now I am studying something else at the Open University of Greece. Anyway, I have 3 children, aged 9 to 16. So what I want to say is that, as you can see, even though I have done different things, I am no expert in education and definitely no expert in theology. But a few years ago, I had the idea of transferring to the web my experience as a volunteer Sunday school teacher and coordinator in our local parish here in St. Dimitrios Union, New Jersey. So I built this website, Orthodox Pebbles, with support from Despina Lachanaris, my friend and a fellow Sunday school volunteer, who helps out with the researching and the writing and editing of the text. And the idea was to offer Orthodox-focused religious education material for young children, which I had found hard to find trying to teach my own classes. So everything I will be talking about today is based on my personal experience. No, I have not studied this, but I have been teaching my Sunday school classes. We have been teaching in our Sunday school our classes online right from the start when the social distancing guidelines were put into place. So we've done it for a little bit. And what I will be saying tonight is actually not offered as directions for you to follow, but as inspiration, just as ideas, what can be done through the screen that we have been forced to use in our classes and with our groups. I will apologize in advance for flying a little bit through the presentation because I wanted to pack a lot of examples for you. I will upload everything on the website and more from what I will be saying tonight. So if you want to, explore everything at your own leisure, it will be on tonight on the website, and you will be able to go and read everything and see all the example videos and everything. So I will move on and talk about the planning of VCS program online. So first of all, just a few words on what a VCS program is supposed to be. So our real VCS program, which is not online, is supposed to be a diverse, enriching camp-like experience which explores all of the dimensions of Orthodox life in a fun way. It's supposed to be engaging all of the senses and addressing all learning styles. It usually lasts for several days, and it has all kinds of activities for several hours each day. So the big question is, can something like that be done on screen? Well, I would say from my experience trying to do Sunday school on screen that, obviously this whole thing could not be transferred entirely on screen. But on the other hand, I think that someone could do a shorter, modified version of it with success, actually. So if I had to plan an online VCS, how would I go about doing it? First of all, let me see, try to take things off my screen over here. Okay, so let's talk about the schedule. The schedule could be something like a work week, so 5 consecutive days. We have 1 short live session per day. The sessions have to be short because we have found out that the kids can't really take much more than 30 minutes, 30, 35 minutes, then they just lose focus, especially the young ones. There would have to be groups of kids in the sessions because, again, we found that if it's a large group, it's not easy to manage and kids don't have a chance to actually participate much. So to have the small groups work, you either have to have a lot of volunteers, the same volunteer repeating I hope, can you still hear me? Because I see here some messages on my screen. Is everything working? Yes. So I was saying that for the small groups, you would have either many volunteers or the same volunteer repeating a session with another group, which we have been doing in our Sunday school. And to keep with the diversity of the VCS program, we will try to focus on a different type of activity each day. The other thing I wanted to say is from our experience again, if we wanted to do something like that, we would definitely need to make sure that the families will help us, because we would need some support from them, especially if it were every day and they would have to maybe prepare some things for us. So I would say to get the families excited and make sure that they will be helping. And now let's go to the content. So like a regular BCS program, it would be a program that would have a main theme. And then on each consecutive day, you would explore the theme through a different lens. So it would, the first day you would introduce the main theme, and then the next 3 days you would do a subtopic related to the theme. And an idea that I had was that it would be nice if on the last day there was a review session and a celebration session with the games and a more fun experience that the whole school could take part in. We're actually planning to do something like that for the end of the year for our Sunday school, and so we can tell you how it worked. And as I was working on all of this to tell you today, I actually got inspired to use the material that I have on the website and compile a couple of online VCS programs that maybe you could try to use. So I'm just saying everything will be on the website. I have made 2 different packets, one about holy icons and one about the Holy Cross, with material for the teachers and for the students. I made slides that you can use in the live sessions, and I made printables, and I have external resources that you can use, and games. I had my teenage son helping me make some games and all that. So just saying, if you would like to check that out, and if you do, I will be very happy to hear from you. We have contact information on the website and everything. So after that, let's go to what kind of activities could somebody do on the live session. Here, I had this idea that instead of me going on and on and on and on and talking to you, it would be more effective if I just showed you some videos from my recorded Sunday school classes. So first of all, I want to thank the parents of my students. Some of them I saw already here on the Zoom meeting tonight, who have granted me permission to use the videos and show to you. And I want to thank my students, who, as you will see, have been doing a great job in our Zoom classes. So without further ado, let me move on and say, before I start showing you the videos, that the one most important thing that I found out somebody needs to teach an online class for young kids: imagination. Because you have to figure out ways to do the things that you would normally do in class on screen. So here are some examples of a couple of activities that I tried to do in class, in my virtual class, to simulate what we would be doing in our regular class. So let me start with So as you saw, in class, we used to have this poster where we would take Lady Land's legs off and do all that. So we tried to do it from home. I had my own Lady Land here. I have this backdrop that I changed for my classes. We put different icons on. I do different things. So that was an idea that we did. Let me show you another. This one. This one I showed you already. Let's move to the next one. Here is the next one. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so again, this is another example of how I tried to modify an activity that we would do in class. In class, I had this little baggie, and they would pick cards, and I would have them choose. The card would have a little task for them to do during the week. So now that I couldn't do that, I tried to find another way to do it on screen. And after that, let me go on to the next. Here, I have a lot of things to tell you, but I won't be saying much. You can read it in the website. What I wanted to say is, one thing is prayer. We always say prayer in our virtual class. I have a few tips on how I found it works better to try to say prayer with the young ones, and then a few tips on how to introduce the story on screen. But I won't go again into detail. You can actually see all that in the website, because I will move on with the next, and I will show you my friend over here who has been helping me in my virtual class. So again, this is another example of trying to make the lesson more engaging. And I have another example of my friend, the puppet over here. So this is the same one, okay? Yes, so this is the next one. So another example of my friend, the puppet over here.
Natalie?
Yes.
A couple of people have chat. Is there sound with these? Because nobody's getting. We're not getting.
I have been showing you this with no sound. Can you have
no the video? Only the videos. Only the videos.
Yes. Only the videos. Okay. So share computer sound. You were right, because I did not share the sound. Okay. It's okay. Now you must hear the sound. Go back to where I was. Okay. So you missed a few.
Just showing us. Sorry about that.
Yes. Okay.
Should have asked sooner.
Yes, I'm sorry. Not too bad. So anyway, you didn't hear my puppet talking and telling his story about how he was at soccer and he couldn't do his, he was too embarrassed to do the sign of the cross, but then the kids told him that he should have. So that was my story over there that you didn't hear. And let's hear this one over here. Hi, everybody. You remember me? I am the person who has all the right answers, and I will help you. And Pentecoste, on the other hand, is how many days? I will get this right. She's 5 days long. No, she's not 5 days long. Constantine, can you please tell us, how long is Pentecoste?
50.
50 days long. Very good. Okay, so that was just another example of how you can use a puppet. I will say the one thing about the puppet, it may sound a little intimidating, but it doesn't have to be fancy. It can just be a puppet that you make out of a paper bag or a sock, and it doesn't have to have any fancy script. You can just say whatever you wanted to say yourself. I have noticed that the kids much prefer hearing these things from the puppet than they do from me. So that's another option of something that somebody could do on an online session. And then here are some ways that I have been trying to work with icons on our virtual lesson. What do we see in this part of the icon over here?
We see Jesus giving them the food.
Jesus giving them the food, and that's when they realized it was him, right? And so let's see. We will start with Sophia, who will tell us which icon should go first. What happened first of all these different things?
First, St. Judas gave Jesus a kiss.
Judas gave Jesus a kiss. Okay, very good. Let's check and see if everything is correct. So I will copy everything here, and I will paste it over here where I have the solution. And we will check and see, did we do it right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did. Okay. So again, this was an idea of how we can actually try to make a little challenge or a game to make things more interesting on screen. Here is another example of how I tried to do a little craft on the online session. Everybody has their page with the cross, with Jesus on the cross? Very good. Okay. Do you have, okay, so here is your page and here are your wreaths. Okay, we are going to glue our wreaths on the page, okay? Okay, so whoever is finished can show us what they did, okay? Ah, very nice. Okay, so Alexandra did it Alexandra, it's very nice. Thank you very much for sharing. And Sophia did it as well. Okay, so just a few notes about the crafts. I have realized, we have noticed, they have to be simple because first, you don't have much time. Second, you can't really help them if they need help. And third, you can't have people finishing up soon, and then if it's a complicated thing, the others are still working. So it has to be a simple thing that they can all do at about the same time and be done easily. Then the next thing that everybody has their is try to teach them a memory verse using different kinds of games. So let's see an example of that. So let me see if you learned any of these words that we said we should be learning about this prayer. This is the first phrase of the prayer. So let's try to remember what this prayer said. I'm not saying any words. Harry, any of those words, can you think what word could be? What the word could be?
One of the words could be Christ.
The one word could be Christ. Let me try it and see if yes. Very good. First one is a hard one. This one I think I have to tell you because you won't remember.
Bestowing.
Bestowing. Oh my God, you remember this hard word. Okay. Bestowing. Okay. Last one.
Life.
Life. Okay, so let's say the whole thing one last time. Christ is
risen from the dead to bestowing life.
Perfect, guys. Very good. Okay, so that was another example of an activity that somebody could do online. So let me see if you learned any of these words. Okay. Another thing that we tried to do was act out a story. So again, simplicity is key. And let me show you the example. So let's go one more time. So Sardina starts.
I am the Pharisee. Thank you, God, for making me such a great person. I am the publican. God, forgive me for all my sins. The grace of God goes to the publican.
Very good, guys. Okay, that was perfect. So for that activity, the one thing I wanted to say is the cool thing about it is that it gets the kids actually interacting with themselves, which is not easy to do on an online class. And the paper puppets they were holding, I had emailed to the parents ahead of time, and I had told each parent which puppet they would cut and put it on a drinking straw so they would have it ready for class. Then let me see, games. So you already saw a couple of games. I have, this video lasts for about 2 minutes. I won't show the whole thing to you. You can go to the website and look at it. But I just wanted to have different examples of games. And I also made a few games on the website. I had, as I said before, my teenage son helped me program a few games that we've been using and I've been sharing with everybody on the website. So let me just show a few examples of games. Next question. It's for Sophia this time. Who swam to meet Jesus? Peter, John, or Matthew?
Peter.
Peter, okay, good. Next question. Before they saw Jesus at the Sea of Galilee, the disciples had been talking, had been walking, or had been fishing. Harry?
I've been fishing.
Fishing, very good. Okay, this is the board game. Remember that we were playing a board game the other time? How many players do we have in the game? We have 4 players today. Okay, so I have 4 pawns over here. Sophia is the green one, okay. Sophia is a green one. Harry, Alexandra is a red one. If you fall on a question mark, then I will ask a question and you will have to answer it.
Oh.
If you fall on the 1, you exchange positions with the leader. If you fall on the exclamation mark, you go back to where you were before. I will roll the die for Sophia first.
Okay, Sophia, 3. Which is your color,
Okay, let me
Sophia?
forward it a
3,
little
the
bit
die.
and show you another
The
game
little
that we played
from
as
the
well.
first row, third card, second row, second card or whatever.
First row, first card.
Okay. Okay.
Third row, second card.
Okay. Nope. That was not it. Okay, Harry?
So, okay, you can see more of that on the website, but it's just different examples of games that somebody can play online, trying to do that. So we are at the end of the VCS session, and we are having this group session to celebrate some ideas of what we could do. Our priest could say a little prayer. We could all, say a few words. Then the different groups could have prepared something to show everybody else. It doesn't have to be a fancy thing. It can actually be one of all of these activities that they did in the previous days. And then another idea, which Angeliki also said, would be to make a little video from the teachers or somebody to show everybody, like an inspirational one. And then again, another thing that we are planning on doing in our Sunday school is have everybody play games together. So we could even set up a little league, whereas the one thing about the games is you would separate the large group into smaller teams with an adult leader. You would send an email beforehand to the kids, so every kid would know going into the session which team they belong to and who is their leader. You would have one adult controlling the games, so that adult would have all the games ready on their computer, and the adult would be sharing their screen and would facilitate all the games and keep track of who is, the score. And you could also have like a little league where the teams play against each other, and then the winner plays against the winner from the other challenge, and so on until one winner remains. So that's another idea. And I will close this presentation today with the video that we made in our Sunday school, the inspirational video that we will be showing to our kids to say goodbye for the year.
This is from the Gospel according to St. John, chapter 14, verse 27. My peace I give to you.
Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid.
If God is with us, who could be against us? Romans chapter 8, verse 31.
Don't worry, stay healthy, and have a happy summer.
We'll all be together again soon.
So that was it for my presentation. Please, if you want to see everything in more detail, I will have it on the website tonight. Thank you again for listening to me, and I will now unshare this screen over here. Stop sharing. Yes.
Thank you, Natalie.
Okay.
Thank you so much. There have been a lot of fun questions going on in the chat. People have been answering and discussing as you're going along. Some of the questions had to do with numbers of students you think that this works for? What's a good group size?
We have found out that it doesn't work that well with over 5, 6 kids. So I would say about 5, 6, maximum 7. The smaller the number, the better it works. So.
Okay. All right. How about age groups? One of the questions that came in was, what would you do with, how would you kind of, so there was some chat about this as well, about students that aren't quite reading yet, or not reading very well.
We have actually found that trying to do online sessions with very, very young kids is really challenging. So we have seen that it works better with kids that are grade 1 and over. We tried to do it with kindergartners. We had to have the parents there present at the lesson. It should be very short and simple, and it was not super great. So I recommend trying to do it with the older ages, from grade 1 and up.
Grade 1 and up.
That's my experience at least.
Yeah. And another question that popped up early on was, with the VCS program, how would you take when you say a major theme and a sub-theme, could you just give a quick example of that? I mean, I have an idea in my head what the answer is, but I'll let you speak.
Well, we could, I don't know. One example would be, the one thing I've been thinking about is it is helpful if you have a theme that you choose that is something very concrete, because again, online teaching is very limiting. So something that is really based on stories that they can understand. For example, the parables or the miracles, something that is easy to understand, not super theology. The two topics that I tried to work with on the plans that I made are not that concrete, but I had a lot of visual material made already. So that's why I used it. So that's my experience.
So an example of that would be to take icons would be a major theme, and then every day would be maybe one icon or related.
For example, because I actually did work on the topic of icons.
Yeah.
So icons was one day is like, what do we do with icons? How do we venerate them? How do we use them in our home? That was one day. Then the other day is how do we recognize the different types of saints in the icons? Then the third day was how do icons tell stories? So it was working on a story based on the icon. Then the fourth one was the special colors and the special things that icons actually use, like the gold color, the symbolisms of colors. So that's actually the plan that I made. One of the two plans that I made is that, and these are the topics that I explored in every day.
Okay, great. I'm a tentative time, but I'm sure that obviously beyond the chat, are there anybody here who would like to ask Natalia a question, or Angeliki, or even Despina? I think you're still with us on the screen, about the presentation, some ideas that you've had or struggles that you've had with working virtually. Natalie, I'm gonna, while somebody's coming up with some courage to speak, I just want to say, not only was this a good presentation on VCS, there were a lot of good strategies about how to teach virtually that could be developed for almost any age. And I think all of us are struggling with that. I even have problems with my seminary classes, how to do it virtually. So thank you.
I just want to say again that I have everything on the website, and because it needs a little more time to be processed, this was a lot of information. So I have everything over there in super detail about the ages that we think work and the times and all that. So if you would like to visit, that will be helpful.
Father, Natalie, my name is Despina Horst. I'm from St. Peter and Paul's in Frederick, Maryland. I was concerned about on the puzzles, okay, the crossword puzzles, which my kids have always liked when they're in paper form and they're working on them in the classroom itself. How do you program, the system?
Yeah, again, on the website, I have resources, external resources and links of different platforms I have tried to use to make all these games. And I'm offering suggestions on how you can make your own games. So it needs a little bit of a learning curve, but some of the platforms are really easy to use. So again, you will find everything in the website.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Other questions?
Yes, hi. I'm Lorraine Deeb. I'm a church school director from St. Mary's Antiochian Orthodox Church in Brooklyn, New York. And my question may not be so far off as I thought it would be. With children going to school, distance learning all week long, have there been challenges getting the children to want to attend on Sunday? Because we're going to be starting online church school now that we know this is going a little bit longer in New York than anticipated. And I was just wondering what challenges can be expected in that area.
The question is for me. I will just say our own personal experience over here. So the one reason we jumped into doing it fast after the guidelines were put into place was because I was worried that we would lose the momentum and that the kids would not show up. But they have been showing up. They have been coming. Now the summer is coming, so towards the end of the year, sometimes the participation is a little more relaxed. But we have been impressed with how much the children are showing up. I have to say, we were pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling, that if we make it more fun and fun rather than as serious it is during the regular school years, if we were in church, that maybe it would be more of a incentive to get them to.
If I
Come
may
on,
jump
something
in on
more
that, I know
naturally.
Angeliki has some ideas about that because she's been doing this as well with her parish. But one insight that a group of us had in a conversation about this last week was the first session has to be really thought out well.
Yes.
Because and how to make it interactive, fun, etc. Because if the kids say thumbs down, they're not going to come back. So really work hard on the very first one. You can bobble a bit on the second and third one, but the first one's got to be a home run.
Sure. I'll totally agree with Father. Yeah. Because that's the one that gets them up and go. And that's when they either say, hey, this is going to be fun, I want to come back, or I don't I don't want to come back.
First impression is going to make a huge difference on this front. Angeliki, would you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah, totally. And there's going to be, I mean, there is going to be a drop down, definitely, but you'll definitely have a good core that'll stay with it and everything. And as long as you keep it fun and interactive, they'll keep coming. But yeah, the first one's definitely important.
Yeah. We had, it started out rather slow. We only had a very few of our kids join the first one. But by the time we finished last week, this past Sunday was our last session, we had found that the attendance, so to speak, got better because the kids talked to other kids and the moms talked to other parents, and they encouraged each other, to do it. So I'm hoping for some good success with this VBS. So even if it's just one lesson, or just 1, 2, or 3 day session, I hope we get a good response like we did towards the end of our regular classes. So.
Father Andrew George, you raised your hand?
Yes, thank you. This is wonderful, by the way. God bless everybody for all that they're doing and have been doing and all that you do in your individual parishes. My question with the virtual Sunday school, like the young lady just mentioned now that their last Sunday was this past Sunday. Pro and con, why not longer through the summer to keep doing virtual Sunday school? They're home anyway, in most cases. Why stop them? Whoever tunes in is my thought. As long as the teachers are willing to continue.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what we're thinking about doing at St. Mary's, because we don't know how long here in New York we're going to be in stay-at-home place. So we just want to keep the momentum of church school going until we can be actually back physically in church again. Yeah. So we don't lose the children.
Lindsay, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
We've been doing something that was not exactly like Sunday school, but we've had a lot of kids tuning in at 4:30 p.m. actually on Wednesday and Friday. It's after school. It's when parents are prepping dinner. And it's been kind of like a replacement for a library summer reading program almost, where we read aloud a picture book. And I've been really careful with selecting them. I mean, I have background as an English teacher, so I love children's books. And like, for instance, we picked one about Clara Barton, the founder of the American Red Cross, and just a lot of beautiful, somewhat secular, but also, beautiful and totally Christian, really, books. And we've had some good, little like 5-minute discussions about that. And I've had some echo songs and finger plays that we do afterwards. Those are kind of more attractive to the younger kids. But if anybody's interested, I'd actually be happy to share the book list. I got a bunch of them used on abebooks.com because I know the libraries are not open right now, but I have a lineup of books now for like 2 months in the summer, and I probably spent like $35. So you can get some pretty good deals online.
Lindsay, if you'd put your email address in the chat, so if
Yeah.
anybody's interested, can just grab it. And just so you know, I'm just attentive to the time. We said we'd end by about 7:40 Eastern. I'll stick around. I got nowhere else. I don't know if anybody else has anywhere to go, but if you do need, any pressing engagements is an old Broadway show line. But if you do need to leave, don't feel bad. As I said, once the meeting's over, we will place a recording of this, make it available to people. So, and there's a question, the links. Is everything that, Natalie, Despina, everything that you've mentioned in terms of links already there, or is it going to come up later?
I can actually, as soon as we're done, I will publish it right now. I have everything ready to be published.
Okay, so yeah. So we just, that's a good reason. So yeah, so this evening they'll be available to people. Any other comments and questions?
Father Tony, Angeliki and I have been back channeling just a bit. I'm Amy Cox. I'm the curriculum specialist for the department, and I know I've seen a lot of your faces many times over the years, but since we've got a captive audience of about 76 people, Angeliki and I were wondering, has anyone been using our religious ed at home pages with great success? Are you planning to continue that? And also, of other resources at the department, we've published several VCS volumes over the years. Just wondering if anybody was thinking of trying to adapt those for use this summer virtually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, in answer to your question, we have used some of those resources. As a matter of fact, we pick and choose. We go in there and we'll get a video of, say, Gigi, with some of her songs and things like that. So we have used them. And just another commentary for Father George. Now that you brought the subject up, there are things that we could do to continue having the children come to classes on Sunday. I like the idea of the book reading that Lindsay mentioned. We could do stories, let's say, Speedo in his fisherman's shoes or something. There are so many books out there, for the children that are religious education use. I mean, and we could do those kinds of things. So you brought up a very interesting point. I'll just have to see how the rest of my team wants to do it.
Right. Father Jim?
So Father Tony, Father Andrew, I liked your point as well. I think that we need to look at the summer, and one opportunity we find as priests is that with the online Sunday school, we have an opportunity to join Sunday school often, and it's the kids really like to talk to their priest. It's not an opportunity they have very often, and the parents tell me that the kids really like it. I thought I was interfering, but they told me the kids really like it as an opportunity because of what we represent, not because we're so wonderful, but because of what we represent in the church. So, and just to wrap on this presentation, education, we're stewardship, outreach, and evangelism, and we talk about engaging people in the life of the church, and the basis of engaging is education. So what Father Tony is doing dovetails with what we're trying to do. We find that engaged members become active members and active in all ways, sharing the faith with their friends and people they know. So as we remain closed over the summer, I think we can still offer our children's sermons. I think we should keep doing that, reaching out to the kids. On my church, I walk right up to the camera. My wife says, don't be creepy, but I get close to the camera. And I talk to the kids as if they're there, because we always do that. I don't know if I'm causing interference with that.
Let me add to that. I think one of the issues is, I think the summer, the idea is that we don't want to burn anybody out, teachers or our kids, and with this. So I think changing the routine, because summer lends itself to that, is a good idea. So the question becomes, how might you change your routine? So it not Sunday school, but something during the week. We know metropolises and parishes are coming up with their camps. We held this so we could talk about vacation church schools. So the routine can change, and that's okay. The question becomes, how do we just think about, we shouldn't stop learning. So, and again, people, I mean, even ourselves, we're going to change gears as a department with the religious education at home into thinking about what you can do with the summer as well, just because the routine, even for us, it's a challenge. To devote time to things we need even for the fall. We need that time as well. So, changing up the routine, I think, is a good thing. I think we're all, Zoom fatigued, and the monotony of the routine that we're all probably living in this perpetual Groundhog Day movie reference that we've been living for 60 days now in most places. So don't be afraid to try something and change the routine. We have time for one or two more, and then we'll call it an evening. Any other comments or questions? No? Well, again, I want to say thank you to Natalie, Tzobanaki, and Despina, Lachanaris, and Angeliki Constantine for great presentations. I want to thank you all for joining us this evening, listening in. The chat has been great. We try to answer everybody's questions. This presentation is being recorded, and so we'll make it available as soon as I get it back from the cloud, so we can share it. Natalie's presentation will be on her website. Angeliki, we can put our presentation on ours, and then we can link back and forth so people can find things more easily. But I want to say thank you for joining us. I'm Father Andrew George, somebody I've always known for way too long. Would you close us in a blessing?
Thank you, Father Tony. Yeah, thank you, Father Tony. Jesus, having risen from the grave, as he foretold, has given unto us eternal life and his great blessing and in his great mercy. And may his blessing indeed enable all of our teachers to continue their witness to the children in their care, showing the love of the resurrected Lord.
Amen.